me, your favourite not-a-chef friend, Laura. And today, non-chefs, we are going to be reviewing this KOI POND mousse jelly cake. That looks like it shouldn't be attempted by a non-chef. If you're new here, I review popular internet recipes to see if they're actually any good and if they can be achieved by us mere non-chefs. With the exception of today's recipe, because there's no disguise or misunderstanding with the amount of effort this KOI POND cake will take. Petrichoro herself states several times how tedious this process is. Even at the end of the tutorial, she states, and I quote, "Is it worth it? I'm not sure. I'm numb at this point." So let's give it a go. Before we get started, Laura's not a chef for all things food, and Laura Danielle for my personal shenanigans of causing trouble in the mean streets of Laura Town. If you enjoy food videos, review videos, and so on being chaotic, silly, idiotic at times, then please consider subscribing. Now let's go to the ingredients. So here we have all the ingredients we need to make our delicious KOI POND mousse cake. So I begun the recipe yesterday, and that was making the decorative piece such as the koi fish and the lily pads, etc., and making the sponge cake base at the bottom. So decoration time! I used marzipan as I couldn't find white bean paste anywhere. Upon research, it turns out that white bean paste is quite difficult to find outside of Japan. You can make your own using lima beans, I think, which I couldn't find either. I decided to try and use marzipan because it was the only thing I could think of that I could mold and is edible and won't deteriorate under the jelly, hopefully. So once you get your marzipan or your nirikiri dough, you section it off into little pieces to colour them. And the colours that I used were black, red, yellow and green. I didn't have any rubber gloves, so I did try to use plastic bags, but they were just making a mess. They were just causing all kinds of chaos. We didn't have time for that. And then you get a piece of baking paper with a small piece of green dough with another piece of baking paper, and you flatten it out, and then you cut out a little triangle to make your little lily pad. Now for the lilies, I had a really hard time trying to make flowers with the marzipan. It just wasn't working. Yeah, so I did the petals and the leaves to kind of look like it's floating on top. And then we get to make the koi, and I thought this part was the most part, the only part that actually looked okay. Break up a little bit of the red or orange, placed it on top, and I gently patted it down, and then I dipped a chopstick in water and then rolled it over the koi fish body. Then you do the same for the black and whatever other colours you want to use for your little fishy. I made a little indentation with the chopsticks for the eyes, and then I popped nirikiri dough in there. And then I added the fins and the tail and a little dorsal fin on top, which I personally found quite difficult because they kept falling off. And look how happy it is. Look how cute it is. The cutest little fishies. I mean, the first one definitely looked the best, and the rest of them were kind of looking like they'd seen better days, but proud and happy of my little koi fish. I am glad that I separated this over 2 days, because that decoration portion and making the sponge cake for the bottom, it was exhausting. Afterward, my back was in so much pain. I mean, I'm not quite as useful as I once was, but so I'm glad that today we can focus on the mousse and the custard and the jelly. Custard, mousse, a little bit of milk to our little gelatin, completely saturated. Hopefully this is delicious. And we're gonna add in the yolks. Oh, that yolk didn't want to join the family. Sugar and remaining milk. Okay, so we're just gonna give it a mix, a lovely mix, a mixture of mixing. Putting it on our stove top on low heat until the mixture thickens up. happy with my custard consistency. So that is next. Add the white chocolate whilst the custard is still warm. And the gelatin. And mix until melted and smooth. Okay, melted. Okay, so the entire custard part took about 10 minutes. From the stove to where we are right now. Custard and mousse, what a treat. Oh, into a bowl. Cover with plastic wrap. Let's put this aside. Over here. Now we move on to the cream. So, in a bowl. Okay. Whip it at medium-low for about 4 minutes. Once the cream begins to thicken, add in the powdered sugar and the vanilla. The consistency we're looking for is whipped, but still a bit runny just before it hits soft peaks. Maybe I think I might have over-whipped it. Well, can't go back now. This is not a shelf life. Custard time! So here's the custard. Add the custard to the whipped cream and fold until well combined. Ha ha ha! Okay. Oh, here it is. So, ladle time. So we're gonna add half of our mixture to the bowl. This seems about half. I don't know. I want you open. Color one of them using food coloring. Oh god. Uh-oh. Is that okay? It's turning green! Ew! We don't want you to be green. Tiny bit more. Let's make it bluer or greener. I wanted it to be the colour of the sky and it turned into the colour of the ground. Ah, yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. It's turning bluer. Or is it turning greener? It just wants to be green. It looks a lot greener on camera. Okay, well, I think that's that. So now that I've got my teal colour, now's the part that I was the most worried about. So, let me indulge you in my dilemma. You see, I don't know what cake tin to put it in. So this size is very close to the size we need. But you can't take off the sides. So I wrapped up this one in like 100 layers of that. But it's considerably bigger. But there is the possibility of a leakage problem. At least I won't have the leakage problem that happens every single time I make these bloody jelly videos. And I'm a bit tired of it. Are you a bit tired of it? Because I'm a bit tired of the jelly leakage problem. Let's just try this. And then try and like, you know, jiggle it out, you know, somehow. That sounds like a terrible idea. Alright, let's try that. First of all, let's add this one. Alright, so we're going to put this in the fridge until it's completely set, and then we'll add the blue one. Alrighty, so I've done the 2 layers for both of the mousse, the white mousse and the blue mousse. The white mousse took about 30 minutes to set, and then now it's been half an hour as well for the blue one, but I'm just going to leave it in the fridge for now, whilst we do our jelly. So the jelly that she uses on her KOI POND mousse cake is lychee coconut jelly cups. But I don't have those. Instead, what I'm gonna do is go to the Hida Marie strawberry cake that we made, and I'm just gonna do that jelly instead. So let's just whip up this jelly real quick. Now's the really exciting part. Decoration time. How fun. Don't they look so cute? The little fish go glub glub. Little fishy glub glub. I'm so proud of my little fish. Aren't they just fish-tastic? Okay, so koi fish. How about you go here with the rocks, I believe. Half of the jelly for the first layer. Pop you in the fridge for half an hour. Hoping for the best. Oh no, stop moving all my rocks around. Slightly worried. The marzipan rocks were floating around. Oh god. See you soon, friends. Alright, so let's do our second layer of jelly. Jelly time! Marzipan. Well, the marzipan does not like jelly. I just plonked a second koi fish on top to make sure that it was ready for the next layer. But yeah, it's kind of deteriorating in the jelly. But, you know, we've come this far. I had to make more jelly because it was, I didn't make enough. So with the Hida Marie jelly, I doubled it, but then it still wasn't enough. Oh no, one of the fins! One of the fins fell off. This is what it looks like. Let's pop this in the fridge as quickly as possible. Whee! Okay, well, I will see you. I'll check on it in 2 hours and then I'll get back to you when it's serving time. Serving time! Hi friends, 'tis a wee bit later, as you can probably tell by the lighting as darkness looms over the end of this video. Anyway, the thing is it looks really cool, but the marzipan did not do so well. It's deteriorating. Mummified fish. They're not doing so well. They're not doing well at all. The really fun part while we try and take this out. The reason I put this on was to just be able to lift it out. Come on, gravity. Oh, it's not as much as I thought. I thought the whole thing would be overflowing with disappointment. How do we do this? It's not how it was supposed to happen. Oh my god. Oh. Why? Well, we almost did it. Bear in mind, this is not a non-chef thing going on here. This is just me not having the correct size pan and getting inventive when I should know better. But how does it look on the other side? Well, yeah. Well, it definitely looks like the budget version, even if it didn't collapse there. Yeah. This actually would have worked out okay if I wasn't such a fool. Let's cut her open, since it looks hideous and I feel no guilt. Come here, you. It tastes delicious. I would prefer more mousse, but I get that the jelly is meant to be the main decorative part. Again, these issues wouldn't happen if you just had the correct tin sizes. She uses acetate sheets. I couldn't find those. I think I'm just terrible at finding things. I mean, like, would I recommend a non-chef to make this? Probably not. It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. She did do really good instructions on how to make the cake and walk you through the process as best as possible. So thanks, I'll put her name here for the recipe. It was still fun to try. I had it definitely looks like the Not a Chef version, but it worked out a lot. It worked out more than other recipes have done, so hurrah to that. I don't know if I like the taste of the marzipan, kind of. But yes, I think this is my official retirement from jelly recipes like this. I think I've done all I can do in terms of those. Wobble wobble. Thanks for tuning in. Obviously I'll leave her links all down below so you can check it out, and feel free to leave your expertise down below. If you make this or want to make this or know much better than I, and feel like you can share your wisdom upon it. Otherwise, I will see you next week for hopefully a non-jelly recipe. And yeah, bye